readers, I am so impressed by the realistic fiction stories that you have been turning in. If you've not uploaded your most recent realistic fiction story into Seesaw, be sure you do that so I can read and give some feedback. But I'm really loving all the characters that you are thinking and all of the problems and trouble you're getting your characters into and the creative ways in which you're taking small steps to get your characters out of trouble and teaching a lesson in your story. Now, today we're going to be writing our final realistic fiction story of first grade and our final writing piece of first grade. You should be so proud of all that you've learned. Remember, we started the year writing small moment stories about our own lives. Then we moved into some nonfiction text, and then we moved into persuasive book reviews, and then we finally ended with our realistic fiction and some poetry. Now, today I want to talk to you about how you can come up with an idea for your next story. Now, one thing that I know a lot of us love to do when we're reading is to read series books. And remember, a series book is where you have the same characters appearing in each book, and we already know things about those characters because we've already learned them in the previous book. And so today I want to teach you that smart realistic fiction writers also can use series books to have the same characters appear in their story. And all we have to do is think of a new problem for our characters to get into and creative ways in which we can get them out of trouble. So on my screen, you're going to notice that I have my two characters that I wrote my first realistic fiction story about. If you can remember, I had a story about a girl named Penny and her pet cat Buttons. And remember in my first story, they were playing in a treehouse, and then there was a coyote, and then Buttons scared the coyote away by growling really loudly. And so I thought I could write a whole nother adventure with these two characters. And that really helps me think about what else I can be writing in the problem and the solution portion. I don't have to spend all my time thinking about new characters. And so I thought that, well, Penny and Buttons, our next adventure, is going to just take place outside of their house. And I thought that would be an easy setting for us to start with. And then the first thing I need to think about is what is going to be my problem in my story? And once I find my problem, then I can back into how am I going to solve it? How do I lead up to my problem? Because remember, our structure of our book has to be told across pages with a clear beginning, a clear middle, and a clear end to my story. So I'm going to think that my problem this time is going to be that Buttons sees a bird and breaks off and escapes out of the leash, because she's gonna get on a leash. And, oops, that's not how you spell leash. That's not how you spell leash. There we go. And escapes out of the leash. And that is going to be my problem. So then I can back into all of the things that are going to happen before the problem. So remember, you are not writing your story on your pre-write. You are just bullet pointing some ideas. So for my page number 1, I could think about what do I want to happen on this page? Maybe it's a beautiful day outside. And they go outside on a walk. Buttons is on a leash. They explore the front yard. Okay? And this could be the start of my book. It's a beautiful day. They go on a walk, Buttons is on a leash, and they go to explore the front yard. Then I can continue to add ideas for my second page, a little bit more about my characters. And so I could elaborate a little bit on what they are doing. So we could say Buttons loves to nibble on the plants, right? I could say Penny does not like when Buttons does that. They find some shade and sit down. And that could be my second page. Then that leads up to my third page, which is the problem, which I already said Buttons sees a bird and escapes off the leash. So then on my problem, I just have to simply state what is going to happen. So I could say Buttons, oops, let me make our text box bigger. Buttons sees a bird. His eyes get huge he pounces and leaps, and he breaks out of his leash. And that's a huge problem, right? Because then he darts, and then he starts running toward the bird. Okay, and that is my problem. And then I have to think about what would be a creative way to get my character out of that problem. What could Penny do to help with that? Because she doesn't want her cat running away from her. And so we could think about, well, what could we do to get a cat back in this situation? So maybe we could say Penny was scared, because we had to say how our characters are feeling. So she was feeling scared. She didn't want to lose Buttons. Maybe I could say she takes out some treats, shakes the bag, and Buttons comes running back to Penny. And that could be my solution to my story. And then the end of our story, maybe we could have a lesson of what Penny learned. Remember, we can end with a lesson or how our characters are feeling, or both. So we could say, Penny felt much better that Buttons was safe. She will start to put Buttons in a harness instead. Could be the lesson that she learns. So again, I didn't have to think about my characters that much in the story because they are characters I've already written about. And this could be a series book. It could be like book number 2 of The Adventures of Penny and Buttons. And so today I challenge you, if you get stuck thinking about a new story, think about a character you've already written about, and that could be what your next book is about. So in Seesaw, you have a pre-write, and so you're going to go ahead and fill that out today. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about writing our first 2 pages together. All right, first grade, I'll see you later. Bye.